Okay, let's do this. In Pokemon Go, candy refers to a type of item that players can collect and use to evolve or power up the Pokemon. Each species of Pokemon has its own specific candy, and players can obtain these candies by catching Pokemon of that species, hatching them from eggs, or transferring them to Professor Willow. For example, if you catch Charmander, you will earn Charmander candy. If you can then use Charmander candy to evolve Charmander into Charmeleon or power up Charmander, Charizard if you already have one. The amount of candy needed for an evolution power-up varies between Pokemon species. The candy is an essential resource for trainers to strengthen and evolve their Pokemon, making it an important aspect of gameplay in Pokemon Go. That was the answer I got when I asked ChatGPT what candy was. Pretty simple, I know. I mean, I've been playing Pokemon Go for the last 7 years, and I've never really given the concept of candy much thought. Like, a level up material you get from catching Pokemon or transferring your Pokemon to the professor, I guess sounds like a pretty normal XP or level up mechanic. But just think about it. Imagine if this was in real life.
Hey kid, give me your dog, I'll give you candy if you give me your dog. So much fucking candy!
Okay, maybe I'm overthinking things a little bit. But in this video, I want to investigate the truth about what candy is, why it does what it does, and what Professor Willow is doing behind the scenes to bring you candy from transferred Pokemon. Hello internet, welcome to Not Game Theory. Yep, you accidentally clicked on our video instead. But you can't leave. The contract has been signed.
Your soul is mine.
And you can only have it back when the video is over. So strap in, this is gonna be a good one. If you've played at least one mainline Pokemon game, you'll know what rare candy is. I mean, it levels up your Pokemon by 1. And that's it. But as we go further along the series, we get stuff like EXP candy or candy that improves certain stats of Pokemon, such as health candy, which improves the Pokemon's overall HP. So we agree that candy is really flipping useful. The Sword and Shield description of a rare candy states, a candy that is packed with energy. When consumed, it will instantly raise the level of a single Pokemon by 1. Great, that's it, simple as that. Candy's candy. Video over, here's your soul. Wait a second. A candy that is packed with energy. Packed with energy. Packed with energy. So it's some kind of pokey steroid? Wait, how is that legal? What is this stuff even made of? Who even makes them? We might actually have an answer for that. In the Pokemon episode, Caterpie's Big Dilemma, there is a scientist named Dr. Gordon whose experiments with candy make Pokemon do some crazy shit. In the episode, a Caterpie eats some of Dr. Gordon's candy and grows to a gigantic size. Also, side note, are we really gonna ignore the fact that, he doesn't want to hurt anyone, so he's going to high ground, but in the process he literally did this. That's at least a few people dead, thank you very much. Okay, back to the point. This guy is experimenting with Pokemon candy to make Pokemon literal kaijus, and we're just supposed to believe that there's no ulterior motive? Also, for the record, this guy's inventions are all Pokemon carcasses. And using them gives him the powers of that Pokemon. Like this literal Machoke corpse that he slips on and runs around in to make him 10 times stronger, or this Magnemite chair with a dead fucking Magnemite on top. So we can see this guy's a little dodgy. But hang on, don't you think it's a bit strange that he's experimenting with dead Pokemon? And candy. So maybe the contents of the candy are actually dead Pokemon? No. There is no evidence that the Pokemon in his experiments are actually dead. Are there? We know from Pokemon Go that you at least need the DNA of the required Pokemon to get the candy. Or we can at least tell that you don't need a professor there to acquire regular Pokemon candy, as you can also get it when walking with your Pokemon. However, professors can somehow produce these from the specific Pokemon you transfer to them. We also know that rare candies are man-made, from both the Pokemon episode we discussed earlier and the fact that they aren't produced by any Pokemon in any games. But that begs the question, how? The fact that you can't buy them from any stores and can only find them lying around is a bit strange too. Perhaps they were being transported somewhere, illegally, and one fell out. That's right, I propose that rare candy is an illegal Pokemon drug cooked up by the Pokemon professors and trafficked by Team Rocket, and by transferring your Pokemon to Professor Willow, you are sending it to its demise. Don't believe me? Well, let's take a look at the evidence. In the manga, Team Rocket literally uses actual performance-enhancing drugs on their Pokemon. The needle may not have been rare candy related, but this is undeniable evidence of drug use in Team Rocket. In the games, you always find rare candies wherever Team Rocket is, such as in their hideout, Silph Cove, and the Goldenrod radio tower, whereas all other rare candy spots in any of these games are either in the middle of nowhere or in abandoned buildings. And guess what one of the most common drug dealing spots is? I know what you're thinking right now. But Nick, how do you know that Team Rocket is trafficking them? Well, to answer that, we need to look into what rare candy is made of. And to answer that, we need to interrogate none other than Ditto. The Pokemon that can apparently mimic other Pokemon down to the molecular level, but still somehow has its own kind of candy. Even when you catch it when it's in another Pokemon's form, you still get Ditto candy, showing that unless you have a rare candy, you need the Pokemon you want to get candy of that particular Pokemon. But Nick, what does that have to do with— Shh, I'm getting there. It's also a common fan theory, with a lot of evidence backing it up, that Ditto is a failed clone of Mew. The only evidence of successful cloning in the Pokemon series is in the movie Mewtwo Strikes Back, where Mewtwo was also made to be a clone of Mew, and all of the Pokemon that Mewtwo cloned to make himself an army. The problem is, Mewtwo was only cloned off Mew DNA, whereas the cloned Pokemon in Mewtwo's army had the whole Pokemon in the cloning machine. And guess who cloned Mewtwo in the first place? That's right, Team Rocket. Well, Dr. Fuji, but he was working for Team Rocket. And guess who the only Pokemon is who is the DNA of every living Pokemon? Mew. As it is true that Mew does have its own kind of candy, I believe that it is Mew's candy that is the main ingredient in rare candy. The one candy that can become any kind of Pokemon candy, and by transferring your Pokemon to the professors, you are sending it off to be killed and cloned by the professors to mass produce rare candy. But that's just a theory. A Nick theory. And thanks for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed my first theory. I know my microphone quality is kind of varied throughout the video, but I am planning on getting a better one soon. Also, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned next time for Arthur's video to decipher who the overall best starter set is. Bye bye.